Today on the channel, I'm going to answer more of your questions. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here is our second Saturday with Marty where I answer your questions. A couple weeks ago, I asked everybody to contribute some questions on a post that was on my community on this YouTube channel, as well as my Instagram channel. My Instagram is in the description of this video. Please follow me on Instagram. You can contact me there. You can message me. I do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. Don't feel bad if I don't answer you soon, because sometimes I just don't check Instagram. I've got so much going on, but that's the best way to contact me face to face. But today on the channel, we're going to do the second round of questions and answers. So I asked a lot of you, I'll ask everybody if they liked the video, and I seem to get a pretty good response on the original video that I did, the very first questions and answers. So this is the second one. If this goes over decent, we'll do a third, and we'll do a fourth, and maybe we'll add some more tidbits and pieces of my personal life and different things like that. But just trying to feel it out a little bit. As I'm approaching 20,000 subscribers, I can't believe that anybody would really be interested in asking me a question. But it's cool. I enjoy these kind of videos. Hopefully you do too. So I'll stop talking. Let's get to our first question. The first question comes from Danny G 4358. Hi Marty, in one of your last videos you mentioned how long it took you to be able to do the tapping part at the beginning of Hot for Teacher. Remarks like this are what I wish was offered a little more often by guitar playing YouTubers. Maybe if you could go into how long it took you to be able to be proficient at different techniques and skills of guitar playing. I think there are many players out there that may already be good at some skills but get frustrated learning other skills, me being one. And at least to me it's very uplifting to hear that an expert level player like you also had to put in tons of time to get good at a particular skill. Thanks for reading my question. All right, so yeah, that's cool. I thank you for asking the question. That's a really good question. He's referring to on my last video where I was showing some Van Halen techniques, and I said, man, it took me a couple of years to get the tapping part for Hot for Teacher down. And, it really did. I mean, I could do it, I could fake my way through it, but, it took a long time to feel comfortable with a stretch. It still does. If I don't tap a lot, I get kind of, really stiff in my hand, and the older I get, I gotta play more to keep up, the stretching. But getting the feel down in Hot for Teacher is very difficult. Trying to play it on time is difficult. So don't be discouraged if it takes a long time to achieve a technique. I've been playing, for instance, the introduction to Cliffs of Dover since it came out, and I still can't quite get it. It frustrates me when I hear other players just do it and they pick it up immediately, but I try not to get frustrated with it because I still enjoy playing it, and that's what it's all about. Certain roadblocks you'll encounter along the way, and the best advice I can say to you is practice the part slowly and try to get the muscle memory down. But then at some point you have to jump over the hurdle and try to play it fast, try to play it up to speed, fall on your face, and just push your way through the riff, push your way through the part, and just keep going. Even if you mess up, just keep playing it. And then go back and play it slowly and try to program that muscle memory. But you always got to keep trying to push it harder. You're not going to get faster just by playing slow. You hear a lot of people say, play it slow, but you got to keep pushing it faster. You got to be on the edge of your seat, much like a NASCAR driver. When they're racing around the track, they're always on the verge of spinning out. They're right on that edge where they can't go any faster. If they push it any harder, they're going to hit the wall. But you got to be on that. You always got to be on the edge of the seat, man. You got to be pushing it to that point. You got to That's how you get better at it. And then go back and practice the fundamentals and the muscle memory and the skills and the technique, but push yourself. I was in a class with Steve Vai several years ago, and Steve Vai said, always play to your strengths. So I always I try to show you my strengths and what I do the best, so I sound the best. Every player does that. So play to your strengths. Find what you do best and present that and play to those strengths. Play that the most often. Let people see that. Work on the things that you can't play behind the scenes until you get them really good and they become part of your repertoire. But play to your strengths and know what your strengths are and own that and feel good about that. And eventually you'll develop more strengths and areas of success. Anyway, next question is from David Wallace 5117. He says, I apologize if you've answered this before, but I have a two-part question. One, if you could have one guitar, what would it be? And do you have a favorite guitar and amp combination that you like above all others? For example, a Gibson Les Paul through a vintage Marshall, etc. Really enjoy the videos. Thank you. Thanks for the question, David. I appreciate you watching, first of all. Appreciate all of you watching. My favorite guitar, man, it's so hard to say what my favorite guitar would be, but if I could have one guitar, man, if I could just have one guitar. You know, it may be an unpopular answer, but I would probably say a Les Paul, my Murphy Lab, probably my Murphy Lab Les Paul, my R8 or my R0. If I had to choose between the two, I would probably say the R8. I like the fat neck, and the guitar just never lets me down. And if I break a string, everything won't go out of tune. I'm not on a floating tremolo, so. Although my Frankie Relic series, my white one that I just bought, would be almost tied with that. I love that guitar so much. What's my favorite amp combination? My favorite amp and guitar combination, my favorite amp that I have is my Friedman BE100, and honestly, my EVH Frankie or my EVH Relic guitars sound the best through my Friedman BE. It sounds just like Fair Warning to my ears. I love it. Close second would be my R8 and then my R0 Murphy Lab. But my Frankenstein or my EVH Relic series through my Friedman BE 100. I have a Fender Champ. I love Fender Champs. I love Princeton's. It's hard to beat a guitar through that Champ, but you need pedals. I think you need a little bit of gain, a little bit of grit. It's hard to beat a Telecaster through that Champ. There's just something special about it. Even a Telecaster through my Friedman BE. Tellies are not underrated, but they're underrated, I think, in the hard rock and metal community. Except John Five. John Five really doesn't play a true Telly. He plays a Les Paul Telecaster. This Telly has humbuckers. Okay, so next question comes from Bihar. It says, yes, I enjoyed the last one. My question for the next one is, would you consider teaching some beginner theory in the future? Yeah, I can. I'm not sure how people would appreciate the beginner theory, but I could do that. There are some other channels that really do theory so well that, I'll be honest with everybody. I kind of have low self-esteem. I look at all these awesome YouTubers and educators, people out there. I mean, Rick Beato is fantastic, right? And you've got a bunch of guys out there that teach theory so well. And, I know it, but beginner theory, if you guys want to hear some beginner theory, I'd be happy to do it. I try to incorporate theory in my guitar lessons in nuggets. So, yeah, that's a good idea. I should come up with kind of theory and apply it to electric guitar. Not so much just a song, but theory and playing. All right, next question. One of my top contributors here, Deputy Van Halen 5150. Q&A videos are awesome. Thank you. I have a question. So you have an EVH Frankie. Have you ever had the desire to add a 5150 Stripe guitar to your arsenal? How influential was 5150 guitar for you, seeing Ed play that over the years? How influential was the 5150 guitar? Okay. I may have the chance to buy one that Ed apparently played in a store. We'll see. All right, good question, man. I do like the 5150 Stripe guitars. Those are really, really cool. Yeah, I'd like to get one. I love the 5150 guitar. I don't know if you've heard the story on my channel. I guess I should make a video about it, but I played Eddie's 5150s. Eddie had 16 5150s on the 5150 tour. One got stolen in Miami during a sound check, but I got to play about 8 of them because I met Zeke Clark many years ago. That's a story for another time. I went to Zeke's house. He lives in Nashville, and I got to play Eddie's 5150s, and they were beat to hell, and they were really cool, and it was an awesome experience. But I'd like to get a 5150. The 5150s that are on the market right now don't really feel like Eddie's 5150. His was really beat to hell, and the whammy bar was all jacked up, and the stick was all wobbly, and they played great. They sounded great, but 5150 guitar is cool. I'd get one. I think you can get them used around $1,100. I think. I'd like a Bumblebee too. Good luck getting that guitar, man. If Ed played it, that's pretty cool. Even if he didn't, man, it makes a good story. Just thinking, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. All right, next question comes from Diego Lunes 712. Enjoy your videos. I haven't seen Skipper lately for a round of see how far away you can hear your amp. Any chance of a return for that series? Yes, I have been trying to schedule a video for that series with a friend of mine who's going to take over for Skipper, but he's been really busy. So the last 3 Mondays in a row, I've been trying to do that. So this couple days, this is a Friday night I'm filming this, but in a couple days I'm supposed to have a friend over and do that video. So I'm going to start. I've got a couple amps I want to do it with, and a couple new twists and ideas. So it's not going anywhere. Even if we got to do it in the winter time, it's coming back. So just hang tight. I love doing those videos. I got a buddy of mine that's going to do it. All right. So let's see. Next question is going to be from Chill1FG. I like your videos, so if you do a Q&A, I'll probably ask when you will be showing your guitars and amps. Always one of my favorite subjects. Okay, I read this question, a few days ago, about a week ago, and I thought, I'll do a video on my amp collection. So I did that. If you didn't see it, check back a few videos on my channel, and you'll see my amp collection. I would show my guitars. I showcase them throughout. I kind of do them one at a time, and kind of show new ones that I get. So I kind of go through my guitars piecemeal. I got a bunch of guitars. A lot of us have a lot of guitars, but I never want to come off like I'm flexing or bragging or whatever. I mean, because there's a lot of people out there that wish they had one guitar, and I never want anybody to feel bad that they don't have a bunch of guitars or something like that, and I never want it to come across like I'm being a jerk or something like that. I'm obsessed with guitars, and I'm always buying and selling and trading, but I've got my collection that I will never sell also. But yeah, I'll keep showing my guitars. Maybe I'll do some chunks, like here are my favorite Gibsons or my favorite Fenders, or got something cool coming for Halloween, actually, kind of like that. So hang tight. That should be fun. All right, next question. Love Muppets. Love Muppets. That's a cool name. Oh, on that last question, you asked about Skipper. Skipper is ill. Skipper had some health problems. He had a stroke about a year ago, and he was in rehab, and he had some more health issues, similar health issues, and I talk to him. We text each other daily, just about. But he's still dealing with that. He moved out of state, so for the foreseeable future, Skipper's MIA. But he is there in spirit, and he watches the videos and sees the comments. So, thank you for asking for Skipper. Next question from Love Muppets is, my question is, what are your thoughts on 7-string guitars? Do you own one? I like 7-string guitars. I don't currently own a 7-string. I used to have a Steve Vai Universe that had the pyramid inlays. It was black with a mirror guard. I regret selling it. It had also a triangle. The pyramid on the very back of the guitar by the bridge too. That was kind of a swirl pearl looking pyramid. It was a black 7-string. That thing was cool. And I had an Ibanez. I had a Dan Electro 7-string. But I really struggle playing a 7-string. The neck is so wide. I'd own another one. I've thought about buying me a Strandberg 7-string and trying that out with that cool shaped neck. If I can get me a 7-string Strandberg, kind of cheap, I think that's my next 7-string. Unless I can find me a Universe, just because I'm a Steve Vai fanatic. But I struggle. For some reason, I always think the B is like a low E, and I lose myself on the fretboard. I've played 6 strings for so long. I'm sure I'm not the only person out there that struggles with a 7. But if I want to tune down or do any drop tunings, I normally just take like a larger scale of guitar that I've got, like my Ibanez Iceman, or something like that, and I'll put 12s on it and tune it down. It's not quite as deep as a 7, but I normally don't get down much past C sharp, maybe C. So I struggle playing a 7-string, but yeah, I'd consider getting another one. Like a Strandberg, like one of the Miku Strandbergs, those Hatsune Miku's blue ones. They're nice. All right, next question. Noel Camilio 1194 asks, yeah, do it. Do another questions and answers. Enjoyed the last Q&A video. I have a few thought out questions for you. I've been subscribed early on to the channel and did the content. Thanks, dude. Looking forward to it. Well, yeah, there was no question. So maybe somewhere down the line here he's got a question. So if you think of a question, man, ask me one. I'll post another thread where you can dump your questions in. If this video does okay, we'll do a question and answers number 3 with some additions to it, some cool new changes. This question comes from 59 Plexi. Have you ever played on a stage where the volume is massive, like stadium volume? That's my dream, to play through a rig like Eddie's volume level, hear and feel the power. Okay, so that's kind of an old-fashioned thing. That was back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, where they just ripped on stage. Nowadays, everyone plays through combo amps or Axe effects or things like that. So stage volume is really low, which I think is kind of a bummer. You go to a concert, and if you're up close enough, if you're underneath the mains, you can't hear the guitar because everything's above you and going out. You got to get back from the stage to hear it. But then if you get close, you want to get close, unless the band is playing with real amps, you really can't hear them. It's not the same experience. But have I ever played at a massive volume on stage, like stadium volume? Yeah, in my original bands back in the day, I used to run 4 12s and 2 Marshalls and a rack system, and we weren't playing stadiums, but we were playing at like 110 decibels, and it was killer. And when I was doing Slippery When Wet for a long time, we played, I brought 2 4x12s with me. I brought a Steve Vai Legacy and a JCM 800 and ran 2 amps at once, and they had us going through monitors, and that was loud. Once we played outside of Turner Field in Atlanta, and that was huge, and we did a bunch of Live at 5 events, like in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Winston-Salem. God, I can't remember all the places, and that was some pretty massive volume too. but never played a stadium. That'd be cool. I'd love to feel the power. All right, next question on the docket is from Todd Ahay317. What effect pedal do you use for your 90s EVH sound? I'm currently using the Moore Pitch Box. Set a detune at -2. For my modern EVH sound, what I'm doing for my YouTube videos is I run through a Fractal Axe-8 and I run it in stereo, and that allows me to run a stereo delay. I run my stereo delay in Pro Tools. I run a plug-in through Pro Tools, just the stock Pro Tools delay. I'd run it through my Axe effects, but I run a plug-in through Pro Tools. I can edit it later and mix, add more or less. And I can run 250 on one side and 500 milliseconds on the other at about 8%, 9% mix, about a 23, 25% feedback, and that gives that ping pong EVH sound, that delay. That's very critical to get that 90s EVH sound. And I run the stock Pro Tools multi-chorus effect, and that's like 2 choruses. It's like a detuner, and I crank it at about a third on this overall level, a third, and I run it's a sine wave chorus, and I run the rate and the effect at about 1/3, so kind of a third of the way up. Very simple. And then I put a master fader in Pro Tools with a stereo enhancer plug-in, and I spread it as wide as it'll go, and it makes everything sound even wider. But that's how I get my EVH sound, my 90s EVH sound. I wouldn't get it live. If I was doing it live, I'd just buy me one of those Boss EVH tuners or delay pedals, and I'd go wet, dry, wet. I got enough amps where I'd go wet, dry, wet, and I literally would do that live. Screw the sound guys. I bring 3 heads and 3 cabinets. But yeah, I kind of cheat for YouTube. I use my Axe-8 on YouTube because it's consistent, it's easy, and I can produce videos quicker, and they sound better for everybody, so I want that professional sound. Next question is Curvin Rodriguez 1833. Can you get an EVH tone on a budget gear for bedroom practice? Also, what other bands and musicians do I admire? Yeah, you can. This is kind of cliche, but a Boss Katana. The Boss Katana combo amps have a brown sound patch, and they've got a really nice metal and crunch patch. And you can, if you dial the treble back to about, put it way down on maybe like 3 or 4, bring the mids up to about 7 or 8 and the bass on 7 or 8, and run the delay through it, it sounds like EVH. Those Boss Katanas are awesome, and you can get a 100-watt Boss Katana head. I think they're like $2.99 used. 100-watt Katana head, and run it through a 212 or a 412. But for the bedroom, those Boss Katana amps are they're awesome, and you don't have to run through an effects like a Helix or an Axe-8 or an Axe FX3 or an FM3 or none of that stuff. If that's not your bag and it's too expensive and you don't want to go through a computer, and you just want a nice budget EVH tone, you could do that. You could get yourself a Boss Katana. I think you can get them used for like $250, $229 combo amps, the smaller ones. They sound awesome. I can't say enough about them. There's one at the shop where I work at, and I test all my guitars through the Katana, and I always get stuck playing on it for 20 minutes because it's got the Van Halen, squishy sound. So I'd say that. Otherwise, get yourself a nice, for bedroom volume, you get yourself like a small Fender amp or a clean amp, and get you a really nice gain pedal. Get you something like a Sans amp, a Tech 21 gain overdrive pedal, or a DS1, and the key is to boost the mids, bring the treble back a little bit. Get a Phase 90, put that there behind it. Next question, Rick KN. Do I give lessons, online lessons? Did you get trained for being a guitar tech? In the last video I mentioned I'm a guitar tech. That's one of my jobs. I have 3 jobs. I have YouTube, I have guitar tech work, and I play in a band where I write charts and direct music. Very busy. So anyway, no, I didn't get trained to be a guitar tech. I've played guitar now for going on 30 years, and I have quite a few guitars, and out of necessity I learned how to adjust action, intonation, fix blemishes, replace pickups, volume pots, toggle switches, 5-way blades, through experimentation, truss rod adjustments, putting frets on, you name it. Maybe 8 years ago I started building guitars from kits a lot. I really started digging into how to do a lot of different guitars just for fun, and YouTube helped me out a lot also, and some of my friends that work on guitars, and through trial and error and just having experience with guitars and owning many different brands of guitars and just loving guitars and learning, opening them up and looking at them and just working on them, it's what really taught me. And I learn stuff every single day. And if there's something I don't know how to do, I will pass on it and give it to somebody else that may be a better expert at it. So it's okay to say, hey, I don't know how to do that, or let me research it and check it out. I don't want to get in over my head, but I do good work as a tech, and people seem to enjoy my work that I do. But it's really comes down to messing with it and experimenting, and kind of, you gotta be a MacGyver. Sometimes you have to figure things out. Sometimes there's no rule book, but there are set rules and methods and techniques that you have to use. So you have to do a lot of research, and I take courses and watch a lot of educational stuff at my job and also on my own free time to get trained on stuff. But it's all self-taught. Do I give lessons? No, just YouTube stuff. I really don't have time to do Zoom lessons. That sounds like a lame answer, but I just don't have the free time with YouTube and charting music for a side project, a band, and directing that band, and my full-time job and my personal life, especially the summertime. The ranch here, Ranch Skinwalker 5150, I've got a lot of mowing I have to keep up with and stuff. So I am constantly busy. All right, so maybe one day I'll do some, but right now I can't. Next question is from Steve 19741, Steve L 9741. Ever meet any of the Van Halen boys, jam with any big names on your work around Nashville? Answer is yes and yes. I met the Van Halen boys indirectly. It wasn't like face-to-face backstage, but I was at a sound check back in 2004 for the reunion tour, and Eddie, Al, and Mike were at sound check. There was probably only 50 of us at the sound check. We had special passes, and we could request tunes and talk to them, and they would respond to us. Michael Anthony was really responsive, and he'd chat with us. At one point he was like, yeah, we don't remember that song. Like, we request some obscure track, like, Hang 'em High or something. And he'd be like, oh, we don't remember that. And Eddie would interact with us a little bit. And I got a story for a future YouTube video about Eddie and that tour and seeing them at Hershey Park. And that was their second date on the '04 reunion with Sammy Hagar. Jam with any big names on my work around Nashville? Yeah, I've played with, I've jammed with a lot of singers. There's a lot of singers that you meet in Nashville at, I guess I couldn't say, jamming with them. I've met a ton of people around Nashville. I've played with some fairly big names. One person I played with in Knoxville, I played with Steve Vai once. I won a contest and got to open for Steve Vai and got to play with him and hang out with him during sound check and watch him play. And he was very complimentary of my playing, which was really flattering. And I've been able to mingle and be on stage with people like Billy Sheehan and Eric Johnson and gosh, I'm trying to think of. I've lived here so long. Never really sat down though and jammed and traded licks with some of them, but I've had the opportunity to talk to many musicians. A lot of country stars like Johnny Cash. I met him way a long time ago. I've met the entire cast of Hee Haw. I meet. I met Jared James Nichols. I see Jared James Nichols on a regular occasion he comes into our shop. Eddie Ojeda is a friend of mine. I tech for Eddie Ojeda from Twisted Sister. He's become one of my really, really good friends. And him and I jam on a fairly regular basis. He's a transplant to Nashville. He moved here about 7 or 8 months ago. He's a really cool guy. If you haven't seen his videos on my channel where I interview him, check those out. I'm going to interview him in another week or so about his, he's going to bring over his original Bullseye guitar. And we're going to jam on that a little bit. Play with, drummers that played with like Shania Twain, and I played with like a lot of musicians who played with some heavy bands, some big bands. Anyway, it's hard for me to think of people. I've lived here so long. After this video is over, I'll be like, oh yeah, I played with so-and-so. All right, BMac5085. Hey, BMac. Hi, Marty. Yes, you should do that. A question for you. Would you like to collaborate with another YouTuber? And if so, who would it be? Yeah, man, I'd love to collaborate with another YouTuber. Ben Eller lives a couple hours away from me. I'd like to collaborate with Ben. I sent Ben a message on line a few months ago, and he never read it. And now if you send him a message, it says, "Thanks for contacting us. We'll get back with you." So he must get so many messages. I'd like to collaborate with Ben. I think we'd hit it off really well. Tyler from Music Is Win lives in Nashville. I'd like to collaborate with Tyler. I think he'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to go shopping for guitars with him and go around town. So Tyler, if you see this video, man, hit me up on Instagram, dude. Let's go down to like Rumble Seat and Gibson Garage and stuff like that, Help a brother out. I like to hang out with Robert Baker. Robert's cool. I like Robert's channel. He's a lot of fun. Paul Davids is one of my favorite YouTubers. Paul Davids. I'd have to go overseas to visit Paul, but Paul seems like a wonderful human being, and he's a great player. I really like his style and his technique. It would be fun to collab with Paul. Andy Wood. He smokes me, man. I'd like to meet up with him. Pete Thorne. Okay, next question. RVK5150. Always enjoy such sessions, Marty. Thank you. As for a question, and maybe this has been asked before, but some thoughts or guidance on daily practice routines in addition to learning new songs, for example. All right, well, the fact of the matter is I don't practice every single day, but I do pick up a guitar every single day. I'll pick up a guitar, obviously, because of my job, but I run through arpeggios and scales and stuff like that and play riffs, but I think it's important just to play, pick up a guitar and play. But a practice routine, it's important not to just noodle around with the same riffs that you're always doing, okay? You don't progress that way. So, guidance on a practice routine, there's a few things. I think the most important thing that you can do is play lots of different kinds of music. On YouTube, pull up jam tracks. Go to YouTube and search funk jam track. Pick a key that you are good in, for instance, G. So funk jam track in G minor. or blues track in A, jazz track in C, stuff like that. Play different types of music. Play to your strengths, but play over jam tracks. And if you can, record yourself, even if it's with your phone. Record what you're doing, so you can have a documented historical snapshot of what you were doing and what you sounded like when you were playing. Because later on you'll be able to see that progress. It's like your hair growing. You don't really realize your hair is getting longer until you look at a picture from a few months ago. You're like, wow, my hair's grown a lot, or I've lost weight, or I've gained weight. Recording is the same way, and you need that kind of motivation. You gotta listen to yourself also if you record yourself, and listen for your weaknesses and what you do wrong. Are you bending notes sharp, or is it flat? Is your vibrato weird? Does your tone suck? Are you playing your scales out of key? Are you missing notes? Are your chords not chimey enough? Things like that, and those are the things that you have to be honest with yourself about. And playing many different styles, or several different styles of music, is important. You can't just eat the same food all the time, even though you may like one particular thing the best. That's your strength, that's your focal point. But force yourself to listen to other things and play other things, because you'll grow as a player, and then you can use those techniques in the music that you like the best. As an example, this says, how to learn new songs, for example. When you start playing to jam tracks, you'll start getting familiar with chord progressions and structures of songs, and you'll realize that Western music is pretty much the same stuff. But the melodies is what makes it different, in the groove and the beats behind those melodies. It's the same tonality, same chord structures. There'll be a 1 chord and a 4 chord and a minor 6 chord. It'll hit a 5, a dominant 5, and go back to the 1. It'll modulate to the to the 6 minor for a bridge or something like that, or maybe change keys at the end. The chorus will go up a step. You'll notice things like that when you start playing the jam track. So when you go to learn new songs, those structures you'll understand chord structures. You got to be playing chords. You got to memorize all your major and minor chords first. If you don't know your major and minor chords down at the nut, the root position, something's wrong. You got to know all those. You got to know the names, and then learn them as bar chords, your basic bar chords, and use that as your main ingredients. And then just branch out from there. As you learn songs, your chord voicings will expand, and remember that stuff. And learn to play on time. You don't have to play to a metronome, but it helps. But when you play to a jam track, you're forced to play on time. But that's a great practice routine. Play to jam tracks, even if you're just doing chords, or improvising solos over jam tracks. Learning songs. You can slow YouTube down. I don't know if you need YouTube Red or not, but you can slow YouTube down. So if you're learning songs, you can slow them down and learn parts, and it won't change the pitch, so it's easier to learn stuff that way. Go out and buy music magazines or catalogs that have box chord shapes, and play to the record, or just learn songs that way, sheet music. You don't have to read music as a guitar player, but you can read tablature and chord charts. But get chord books for bands that you like, and learn songs. Learn old songs. Learn songs from the Beatles and Rolling Stones and Beach Boys and the 60s and 70s stuff, and learn where all the newer stuff came from. Don't put the horse before the cart. Dig back a little bit and be eclectic. Hopefully that helps. That was a long answer. I'm long-winded. All right, Metallica.exe. Can you do a song lesson on the song called Broken Dream from Friday the 13th, Part 8? Nobody is a lesson. Chances are me doing this lesson is probably slim. Here's the deal. When I do guitar lessons, the first thing I think of is, do I know the song already? Or am I familiar with it? because it takes me a lot of time to do my lessons. And if it's a song like this that I'm not familiar with, I have to learn it from scratch and then be an expert on it, then teach it in front of all my subscribers and make it sound like I've known the song forever. But I do best playing to my strengths and showing you the material that I do best at and that I know. So I put my best foot forward for you guys so the content is the best it can be. It's not perfect, but it's as good as I can get it most of the time. And a song like that, I would, if I'm not familiar with it, I'd have to really learn it and take the time to do that. And I'm not so sure it would garner a lot of views. The second thing is I have to think about, I do this for a little, if you want to make it rich being a YouTuber, chances are it ain't going to happen, but it helps me out a little bit. Little bit makes a lot at the end of the month, so I got to think about videos that will hopefully get some views. And my lessons, I try to pick stuff that will garner a lot of views and help people, and stuff that I know. So, but I'll listen to it and check it out. Maybe I do know it, maybe I just don't know the name. All right, can you show us your rig? I've showed my rig on many occasions. My rig is just a fractal Axe-8 on the floor. But I think I'll do another video with what Axe-Edit looks like in my patches and how it's set up. That'd make a good video. So yes, I will do a video on my rig. And I recently just did a video on all of my amps. I can show you my pedals too. FVH5150. Can I have your signed Ernie Ball Music Man? I'm just a poor boy. Nope, you cannot. My red Ernie Ball Music Man I bought when I was 22, back in 1992. Yeah, I'm old. And I paid $1,200 for it. And it was my last $1,200. I had $18 left in the bank. And I lived on Cheerios with cornflakes for about 6 days till I could get paid. I was working in retail at the time. I had a black and white TV in my apartment, and I had it on a cardboard box as an end table, and my couch was a couch someone had thrown out, and my bed was an air mattress with a sheet. And that was me at 22 in Nashville, and I spent my last $1,200 on it. Anything's possible if you put your mind to it. Work hard and invest your money in stuff that you like, and never give up on your dreams. Easier said than done sometimes, but every single guitar that I've got or anything that I own, I have worked my fingers to the bone since I was 16 and made sacrifices beyond belief. Many of you can probably relate to that, but I've sacrificed everything to play music. But that's a deep subject. That's what you got to do. All right, getting dark. Jeff Lowry, $3.95. Hey, Jeff. I've noticed you don't have any or one of the EVH amps. I thought about buying one of those lunchbox versions and building my own cabinet, but have never had the opportunity to mess with any of them personally. Do you have an opinion, good, bad, or ugly? Okay, I do not like EVH 5150s. They're great for the metal community and the real chunky stuff. I had one. I had a block letter back in the 90s, and it was just noisy, and it was mushy sounding, and I just didn't like it. And I like a Marshall sound. I don't like 6L6 tubes too much. I had a white EVH 5153, and I recorded 4 albums with it with my prior bands. They sound great, and but I only used it for channel 1, and then channel 2 I used it for solos. It was good. It was a really good amp, but I sold it for my Friedman. So I had a 5153. I wouldn't mind getting another 5153, but I really like EL34s. I'd like to get one of the 5153s with the EL34s in it, like a 50 watter. That would be awesome. And lately, I've really fallen in love with the Iconics. There's an Iconic, a black Iconic, 5150 Iconic combo amp at my shop, and man, it sounds so good. So 5153 or 5150 Iconic is in my future. So good luck on building the cabinet. Cabinets you can get pretty reasonably. I don't know if I'd build my own cabinet, but if you're good with construction and stuff, then go for it. It's probably not that hard. But I'd just, I think a matched cabinet with an amplifier is the way to go. They sound the best. Okay, last question is, well, that was the last question. That question was the two-parter. What was the rest of that question? I apologize. I know they had a lot of gain, was the last part of that question. And then it says, Wolfie seems to like them again, I guess, but he would, or at least act like it. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll add just a little bit more to that question. EVH amps are excellent. The 5150 series amps, block letter or script, it's the signature one, they sound the same, I think. Those are great amps. They are one of the most revolutionary and iconic amplifiers that have come out probably in the last 30 years. But they're durable. They sound great, man. The 5153s are great. The 5152, I think, is a more versatile amp than the first 5150 because it's got EQ for channel 1 and 2, separate EQs. Wolfgang plays them because he's affiliated with EVH, clearly, but they're great amps. So, yeah, he plays them because it'd be weird if he didn't. If he was going out with Soldanos or something, it would be kind of bizarre. But they are road tested, and Eddie designed them. So enough said, man. If they're good enough for Eddie, they should be good enough for all of us. But check out the Iconics. The 5150 Iconics are awesome amps, and the combos are really nice. I've heard that if you put speakers in them, they sound even better, but the ones I've heard sound great without. So, well, good luck. Good luck with that. Anyway, thanks to everybody for asking these questions. I hope you like this video. Sorry if I was so long-winded. I enjoy doing these, and we'll do this again if you want to, and I will post another post in my community in a few days after we see how this video does, and I'll ask you all to ask me some more questions, and maybe I'll add some more content to these than just questions. So anyway, please consider subscribing if you like this kind of content, and comment below. And as always, have a great day. Peace out.